Hello there and welcome. This is, as always, Mikhail or Michael speaking, and before I start this video, I want to say thank you all who decided to support me financially, be it through Patreon, PayPal or Super Thanks. I really appreciate your generosity, so thank you friends, and have a blessed day. Now today's video we will start in Zaporozhye frontline, to be more specific around Verbova and Rabotino, where all throughout last few days, Russian forces conducted multiple offensive operations across the entire front in attempt to close and get rid of this Ukrainian salient that they were able to establish during their summer offensive. Russian attacks came from the west, south and east, and as a result of successful offensive operations, Russians were able to advance on multiple portions of this front. First, let's discuss Russian advance right in between settlements of Verbova and Novoprokopivka, where as a result of storming operations, they were able to advance along the many open fields and retook some of the positions along the Dragon Teeth fortifications. And here is exactly how much territories that was. This recent Russian advance spearheaded right through Ukrainian defenses that were situated in this area and broke their defensive line. Now Ukrainian formations in this small salient might find themselves encircled and soon will be forced to retreat. This recent territorial change is also important when it comes to the support of the Russian forces attacking in the direction of Rabotino, as now Russians will be able to attack to the flank and rear of the Ukrainian formations, defending in this general area, and the situation from bad can quickly turn to worse for the Ukrainian forces. Speaking about the situation around village of Rabotino, here Russian forces were able to advance right to this force line, which allowed them to attack village of Rabotino directly, and there are some video geolocations that spot Russian forces not only in the western part of the village, but also in the southern one, because yesterday, if you remember, Russians captured this force line and thus gain ability to attack Rabotino from the south. At this point in time, the battle for Rabotino continues, and Ukrainians are throwing fresh reinforcements in attempt to stop Russian advance. Due to the early stage of the Russian offensive here in this area, it is still too early to speak of any success. But as you can see, dynamic is not in favor of Ukrainians. There were also slight territorial change near the settlement of Kapani, where as a result of successful offensive operations, Russian forces were able to capture this small patch of territory from the Ukrainian side. Again, Russian attacks are happening all over the front, and dispersed advances are a proof that in certain places, Ukrainian defensive lines are surely penetrated. Now, if you liked this video so far, please consider supporting it by pressing that like button, subscribing, and of course, commenting. Those actions really help promote this video to a wider audience, thus helps spread the message. Thank you for considering it, and let's move on to other portions of the front. From Zaporozhye, let's move all the way to Donbass and discuss the situation around recently captured Avdiivka. To this day, clearing operations are still conducted in the vicinity of the city, however, most parts of it is already cleared of Ukrainian formations that were left behind. Of course, last of those positions were the 9th Quartal and the Avdiivka cookplant. For example, here I have a video of Russians conducting a strike upon this building at the very outskirts of the factory, where Ukrainian soldiers took refuge. This was a part of a clearing operation, and considering the recent news, it seems that Avdiivka cookplant is cleared completely. More and more information is available as Russians slowly clear Avdiivka. For example, here on this video you can see multiple Ukrainian vehicles simply left on the dirt roads, unable to move. Again, in support of the videos that showed Ukrainian formations simply running across the fields without any equipment, this would show that this was no orderly retreat, but in fact a rout. A lot of Ukrainian soldiers were left behind, with videos of them either surrendering or fighting to their ultimate demise. As I speak, fighting across the entire front line continues, especially in the direction of Lastichkina. And as a result of that, Russian forces were able to advance along the 00542 road and across this open field and capture those territories in the process. With it, they gain ability to storm Lastichkina itself. As you can see, half of the village is now within the gray zone as fighting there continues, with Russians slowly coming on top. They were able to establish some footholds within the village and currently fighting to take full control of it. Again, generally speaking, I don't believe that settlements like Severne, Tonenke, Lastichkina, Orlivka, Semenivka, Berdiche, and Stepova will hold out for long. As you can see, with the fall of Avdeevka, these villages ended up in a significant pocket, and Ukrainian formations within them are now under threat of yet another encirclement. Now in this video, you can see Avdiivka in its current state. As you can see, it is nearly impossible to live there. However, those concrete buildings can provide much needed defense for Russian soldiers that will use Avdiivka as a staging point to attack across this whole front. With the fall of Avdiivka, Ukrainians not only lost a seriously fortified city, but also ability to bomb city of Donetsk. This city was bombarded all throughout this war, which did not allow Russians to stage any significant supply depots or other military logistics. It would simply be too dangerous, as the front line was extremely close. Now, with the front line moving quite fast, Russian forces will be able to use city of Donetsk to supply all the Russian formations fighting across this entire front. With it, effectiveness of Russian logistics might increase significantly. Again, I would love to have your opinion on this matter and the potential use of Donetsk as a massive logistical hub for the Russian forces operating in Donetsk Oblast. Then from here, let's move all the way to Bakhmut and discuss Russian advances here. Recently, Russians started massive attacks in the direction of Ukrainian-controlled village of Ivaniske, and as a result of that, were able to advance here yet again. It happened right in between Ivaniske and Bakhmut, and those are the territories that Russians were able to take under their control within the last 24 hours. If we zoom in, we can see that Russians reached this area with small ponds, which of course is a significant obstacle for Russians to advance. However, they were able to establish a small foothold in this what would seem to be farm area, and as a result of that, gain ability to attack along these roads, now directly in the direction of Ivaniske. In fact, as some report suggests, the village of Ivaniske is currently being stormed by the Russians, with said Russians gaining footholds within the village. Again, the battle for Ivaniske just started, and heavy fighting is currently ongoing in its outskirts. From Ivaniske, let's move to the settlement of Bogdanivka, where Russian forces continue to attack in attempt to fully capture the village, and where Ukrainians counterattack them regularly, not to give Russians any chance of advance. Ukrainians, however, were unsuccessful in those endeavors, because in the last 24 hours, Russian forces were able to advance to the north and south of the village, slowly enveloping the settlement and Ukrainian defenders within it. And this is exactly how much territories that was. As you can see, Russian soldiers are slowly enveloping the village, now attacking from 3 separate directions, ensuring that Ukrainian defenders here are under extreme pressure, thus lowering their combat capabilities. With this, I end today's video. Hopefully it was to your liking and was informative enough. As always, humanity calls me to condemn all violence against human beings. Have a good day, and always remember, Russia will be free and great.